Home Trails podcast presented by me, Ultra Running Sam. Now, this podcast is part of the Home Trails media entity that encompasses our Home Trails documentaries. You may have seen them on YouTube, so where we interview famous ultra runners from around the world and in the UK at the moment. We film them on the trail and in the home, obviously, Home Trails. Get those insights into their training, big races they've done, and then just their background information. Try and dig a bit deeper into what motivates them to go and do these amazing things that they do. Also, part of Home Trails is new for this year is our live podcast coming from big races. You may have seen us at the Spine Race in January. We were there doing our thing all week. Later on in the summer, we will be at the Lap in the Lake District, and then keep your eyes peeled for other races where we'll be popping up and doing media coverage for some big races, hopefully. So, obviously, we have a podcast now, so we'll keep doing this every week. Keep churning out the podcasts with famous runners and people in the industry, anyone that we can get on that we feel that you might be interested in related to trail running and ultra running. So on with our guest. Okay, so welcome back to returning guest, Charlotte Fisher. Welcome to the Home Trails, the recently renamed Home Trails podcast. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me yet again.
Is this third time on?
It is third time, yeah.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing to Tom as well. It's I like to interview new people and find out them, but also I love just catching up with people and especially since we've been talking for like years now, haven't we?
Well,
Basically,
since 2 years since I started running, you're literally the start of my journey. So
yeah. Was I the first podcast to interview
you
you?
were, you were.
There you go, claim to fame. I have that I have that claim to fame with a few people. Um, Probably the most notable one. Not that you're not. It was Jack Scott. I got
Oh
a
wow, really?
podcast with Jack Scott, yeah. And when he just suddenly appeared, that next spine race where he was second out of nowhere, no one knew who he was, and everybody like obviously Googled him and found my
Your
podcast.
podcast was there, yeah.
And overnight, like thousands of people all listened to it, literally like within a few hours of him like appearing on the scene. Yeah, so yeah, but yeah, welcome back, and appreciate you coming on and chatting. Yeah, how are you feeling? Are you sort of recovered? Are you tired? Are you feeling it? Are you back to normal?
I've got the brain fog. Physically, I feel quite good. I actually went for just a recovery run now with my running group because it's a race where it's a lot of hiking. So actually, physically, I my legs aren't as destroyed as they were after the Trans Gran Canaria, for example, which was a lot of hard racing. I wasn't expecting to go for a run today, but it's a nice evening and the group was going out and it's quite an easy one on a Tuesday. I thought, "Do you know what, it's only a 6K or something." So yeah, joined in for a run and I didn't really expect that for a few days. So yeah, but mentally, that's why I was like, should I postpone the podcast because I might not have as much to say as usual. But yeah, just trying to get my brain together, that's all.
Yeah, and I know obviously we've had conversations about this, haven't we? About your neurodiversity,
Yeah.
your brain works. But obviously everybody's got different levels of it and stuff, haven't they? How does the sort of the post race brain fog affect you with your life and how you sort of deal with things?
What hits me really is a darkness and a sadness, and that's quite a hard thing for me to
Really?
fight. But I know it's, I understand it comes now, so I know it's coming, and I can kind of work through it and understand it. When it first happened, I didn't understand because obviously my first races were really successful, and then I was feeling devastated, and I couldn't work out what was wrong with me. But now I kind of anticipate this is coming and ride out, and that's why I think a bit of activity like today, like a little run, actually helps because it just helps get me a bit of dopamine back and a bit of a schedule and yeah, back on track. Obviously, I can't go out and start training again yet, but just like something little, it does help.
Yeah, that's interesting. Do you think that it's like the way that your brain works that a race is so like overstimulating for you that it like uses up all of your dopamine and
Yeah, I
stuff.
think so. And for the months before, it's like every day, waking minute, I'm focused on that one goal. And then once the goal's gone, it's like, oh. But luckily now, obviously when we first spoke, I didn't really have much of a calendar planned. Whereas now, I've kind of put a 100 miler every 4 months for the foreseeable future. So at least I've got something, even if I can't end up doing it, there's an option there that I've got something to work towards. I think it's always good to have something in my calendar that, yeah, I've got coming up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that's like most of us into it. We need something to sort of aim for, don't we? Otherwise,
Yeah.
you're quite focused anyway. Do you find that do you need that to keep you focused on training, or could you quite happily sort of go for a year without racing?
Well, essentially, I did last year because I had the injury before Trans-Gran Canaria. Then I had illness before Ultra Snowdonia. I raced, but obviously it wasn't a
Yeah.
race that on paper I was that proud of. And then I had cancellation with UTMB Mallorca. So that whole year kind of was a write-off for me,
Mm.
which I still managed to stay on track because ultimately I was still working towards this goal in Snowdonia. But I think, yeah, I always need something scheduled just to base my training around as well. I did like last summer, I did have kind of the summer off where I was more flexible with training. I wasn't didn't have it off, but I was hitting just like 100k flexible weeks without much structure. And that was nice, but I still knew I had Mallorca in the November. Well, I meant to have had it. So it was still kind of training towards that. But no, I think I will never not run now unless obviously I have an injury. But yeah, it's nice to have these races just to keep you really driven, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So third place at UTS is a great result, isn't it? When you like
Yeah.
look back to, I know obviously last year you were ill when you did it, and you just
Yeah.
literally just had to complete it, but just for your own sanity to get round. Does this feel like massive redemption for last year?
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's 13 hours PB. That's quite
Quite a
crazy.
bit.
Um, and it was just I have a lot of imposter syndrome where I'm so new to the sport and I felt like I could do better, but it's really hard to just because you believe something doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And now finally doing it justice, I can put it to bed and know that, I knew my goal was 35 hours. I wanted it done by midnight and I ended up at 34:17. So I was 40 minutes off and I beat last year's winning time, which for me was the kind of the goal because that kind of was I was kind of stuck in the last year's mindset of yeah that I knew obviously Paulina she's an extremely great trail runner elite from Poland and then there was five six well to be honest I was ranked I think the lowest of the elite so I was think 11th on the list so anything above that I would have been really pleased with finishing ahead of last year's time, I was going to be really pleased with. But my ultimate goal was that 35 hours that I wanted to go to bed on the Saturday night because the year before, finishing at half 12 in the afternoon, I could see all the elites going to the awards, uh, like giving, and they'd been to bed, and I was there just finishing, and I was like, this is crazy. I just couldn't, yeah, I just didn't want to go for another night again this time.
Yeah. And now it was the other way around. You were the one going to the awards.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
people were finishing.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. I mean, I've got behind me somewhere up there is the flowers still and the
Wow.
I got the age category win and the third place overall little award up there as well. And the medal's massive as well, to be honest. So, and I'm wearing their t-shirt actually.
Yeah.
Oh, that's my run club tonight. A little bit of showboating has to be done, doesn't it? The first week
Well,
after a race.
yeah. If there's ever a time to do it, then
Yeah,
now is the time to do it. Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
you can have that
I
sort of.
almost wore the medal, to be honest.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah. You could do that. You could get away with that, I think. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Um, so you must be like sort of on top of the world now, like with that result, because like you were saying last year and the year that you had sort of like bitten and bobbing and things not transpiring how you wanted it to last year.
yeah.
But everything seems to be on track.
Yeah,
So
I
you feeling
think
like
when we last spoke, you said to me what it was my dream race, and I said obviously I would like to do UTMB, but I'd only like to go in through athlete entry.
yeah, yeah,
And I can't believe that was more of a goal for 2027. I'm doing ARC in January, and I kind of thought I looked at who was running ultra Snowdonia this year, and I did just think I don't know if how likely a podium is in this race. I don't live in the mountains. I've had 1 year training in them. I was quite realistic, and I dreamed of a podium, obviously, but
Mm.
I was quite realistic, and I was thinking, well, I've got ARC, which might play more to my strengths in January. So I was thinking maybe UTMB for 2027, but potentially now I've got this entry, I might do it next year. So it's changed things
Yeah,
a bit.
yeah, but it has. Yeah, it's a great perk, isn't it, of podium in
Yeah.
a race that you can get straight in. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
because originally I was thinking, if I got the athlete entry, I wouldn't want to use it yet. But then I spoke to so many men on the course that were just completing it to get their stones to go into the lottery, and they would do anything just to have had the opportunity
yeah,
to
yeah,
bypass that. And I thought, you know what? Who cares if I'm not good enough yet to do it? It's still an experience and an opportunity to recce it and try it. So
you can't
I
really
put too
think
much,
like that.
yeah, I put too much expectation on myself, and
Yeah,
it's hard when you want to do everything perfectly and be ready. But sometimes it's just good to go and enjoy something. So I'm actually looking forward to now doing UTMB. So yeah, that's
but
going to probably be my goal for next year.
if someone had said to you that that you would you would beat the winning time from last year this year, would that then like have given you the confidence to think you are in the right place and you are capable of going to Chamonix and running UTMB?
I mean, if you told me that a year ago, I would have just, yeah, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, yeah, it is
Still
crazy. Yeah.
struggling with imposter syndrome then.
Yeah, yeah. It is so hard. I was stood up on stage and I just looked at everyone around me and I was like, I just don't feel like I'm supposed to be here yet. It's a hard feeling. Emma Stewart was so nice. She actually came out on course, and
Yeah, I saw the
I
post.
thought she was a hallucination to start with because it was literally the second to last climb. I was losing the plot. She came down with her dog, and I noticed the dog first. And she goes, "Hello, Charlotte. You're strong in third. Keep going. Good luck," or something. And I turned around to the guys behind me, and I was like, "Was that Emma Stewart?" And they were like, "Yeah, do you know her?" And I was like, "Not as such, but obviously I know who she is." And
Yeah.
after that, though, I was in such a good mood, and I was like, "Wow." Just manifested Emma Stewart on the trails. What more do you need? Just needed Josh Wade to come down next, so keeping an eye out.
Hold
But then she came to the awards, so I had a little chat at the end, and it's really nice when someone that experienced and elite in the sport doesn't have an ego and they're so friendly. Because
She's lovely, isn't she? She's really
yeah, because obviously I've neurodivergent and awkward and new to the sport, don't really know anyone. In situations like that, award things, I just felt so uncomfortable. Up on the stage, there's a video clip, and I'm like twitching. It's just I felt so uncomfortable. But you know, it was a dream of mine to be up there, so I'm just yeah, so thrilled to be honest.
when do you think you will feel like you belong there? Is there something that you've got in your
I
mind?
think when I beat Courtney, no, I'm joking.
Never say never.
Well, oh no, I don't know. I mean, even when I've been invited to a to start a half marathon at the weekend and be the person that like starts the race.
How cool is that?
But I'm thinking the people in the race are more experienced than me like they've been around longer. It's just
Yeah,
that
well, they haven't just come third at yes.
I know the guy that runs my run club just said tonight that's probably the strongest result any athlete from the Isle of Wight has ever had in any running event. And I was
Mm,
like, to be fair, there's a guy called Matt Sharp. He just came second in Manchester Marathon, which was pretty impressive.
mm.
But a lot of men do run marathons around that time, don't they? Then it's more heard of than these crazy women that do our 100-mile mountain races. Yeah, a bit bizarre.
Yeah, yeah. Never belittle the achievement that you've had. Because yeah, a lot of people are sort of like even like you said, like with the men that you were running with would like give their right arms to be in the position that you're in, sort of thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're there for a reason, and you've obviously got that. You've got that natural talent, and then you've got the hard work that you
I
put.
definitely worked
In.
very hard this year for this. Yeah, I did work really hard. Natural talent, yeah, I guess there has to be something there.
Mm.
Um,
but hard work
There
as
was a
well.
lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifice, and basically all last year without anything really to show for it. Yeah, I got the FKT. My UTMB points went down from my finish at UTS because obviously I was just doing it for the charity finish. So I
Yeah.
actually lost my UTMB points
I
from
know.
finishing that because it was such a slow finish.
Yeah.
Um, but I feel like, yeah,
What's
I
happened
think
now with your index, UTMB index?
it's still, luckily, it's the lower end of the female elite for the 100-mile category. So it's
Mm.
just in the just at the bottom of there. But I mean, it's funny because my Isle of Wight ultra score was 2 points higher than my UTS finish. And my UTS finish is like such a hard race, and I came third. Obviously, I
Mm.
won the Isle of Wight ultra, but it was if I was to run it now, I could run it, I don't know, 2 hours faster. So I was just, I don't, the point system is a bit weird. I was speaking to my friend
Algorithm.
Lyndon about it, and we were like, we just don't really know how these points work because you should get a much higher point for something like UTS. Even
Mm.
if you are one of the slower ones, finishing it is such a strength.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. I know I was literally just on recording with Tom Jolly, and he was saying how how the points of when you're on the podium, the points, the index of the other runners on there affects yours as well. So if they've got a low index or something, and it's to do with like the algorithm thinks that you've all had an easy race or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of so it doesn't understand the achievement as
Yeah,
well.
so I think with
Yeah.
obviously with the Isle of Wight Ultra, there's I don't know 2,000 people do it, and the majority aren't experienced runners, so the time is probably quite a slow time. So when you do a sort of faster time, like the top man, he did on my year, is a guy called Gary, he's a great runner, but he did it in I think 9 hours 40 or something for 100k, which is good, but you know, there is a lot faster. I think that gave him a 750 score. Like that's like a Tom Evans kind of vibe. So I think yeah, I think sometimes these races yeah, I do think Ultra Snowdonia should definitely have one of the, the highest kind of point systems in the UK, but
Yeah,
it is what it is.
because it is a notoriously tough race, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I honestly halfway through I thought, who am I proving this to do this again? Why am I putting myself through this again? I don't think there is a single female that has finished and then did it again. Obviously, there's people that have got timed out or DNF'd and they come back, but I don't think there's a finisher apart from myself. And it was funny because I was recognised quite a lot on course by Mountain Safety and volunteers from last year, and they were just so confused because they saw me like chasing the cutoffs last year, and they're like, "Hang on, are you are you
Same
in
one.
the front pack now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's been quite a year."
That's amazing. So that's like it's amazing that you gutted it out last year to just finish. And then I
Yeah.
suppose you'd got something to prove to yourself, hadn't you, this year to go back and get the
Yeah, I mean, even
result.
if I'd been healthy last year, I didn't have the experience that I do now, and just the extra training. I definitely will have delivered a much better race regardless this year around. So, yeah.
Yeah, you've done amazing. Yeah, great. So talk us through what actually happened then. 'Cause so when I was sort of keeping tabs on the race, I saw the last thing I saw you were in fourth. So I didn't get to follow the race during like Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Because my wife was doing her first half marathon. So we
Oh, nice.
family we were all like we all went to Cromford, like near Matlock in the Derbyshire Dales to go and see her and a load of her mates do this race. So I was kind of like after I spoke to Rich on that Instagram live, I kind of like
Yeah.
checked out of the race and didn't know what was going on. So when you first sort of set out, like first climb and stuff, how were you feeling and what was
Yeah.
your plan and everything?
So I had a pacing plan for the 30 hours. Oh, sorry, 25 hours. No, yeah, 30, sorry, 35 hours. So the midnight finish the next day. Um, and I roughly knew what time I had to be into the aid stations. And I went there 2 weeks before and did 250k, so I could kind of see where my pace felt comfortable on the terrain. So I I'm very strong on climbs because I can practice hill repeats and stuff, but my descending's not that strong because that's not something that I can practice on there every day.
Oh, understand. Okay.
So I climbed with the top group. I think I led the climb actually, quite comfortably. It wasn't going too fast. I was actually a little bit behind on my pacing plan, but everyone seemed to be going slower. I think because they learned from the heat and so just as we got up to the summit of Snowdon, Paulina and Robin, they went by me to descend, and um, who was the lady that came second again? Oh,
I did have a list somewhere. I lost it.
sh um,
Natalie Taylor.
Natalie Taylor. So she went by me and she said, "You'll probably catch me in the next climb. You're such a strong climber." And I just said, don't count on it because you guys are going way too fast for me. I think I'm gonna, pull back kind of thing. Because I just knew that last year, this Devil's Kitchen section, descending that fast gave me such bad leg cramps, blew my quads quite early, and I just didn't want to make the mistakes I'd made the year before. So I got into the Penny Pass actually 5 minutes ahead of my pacing plan, and I messaged Charlie and I stopped at the get my water and everything, and I said the front three are too strong for me, and I know my place. At the end of the day, I've been running 2 years. These are a professional the Polish athlete Paulina, um, Robin Cassidy, who need I
Legend.
say more? And I didn't know about the other lady, but I've looked at everything she's done recently, and she's just obviously insane. I could tell by the way they were running, and I just said, Charlie, I need to run my own race because if I stay with this lot, I don't think I'll finish. And I said, if I want the podium, I just have to hope. Not any disrespect to them, but if one of them retires, that will be the way I get it because I'm not out there to fight Robin Cassidy at the end of the day. She's got years on me and she's much more experienced runner, and I'm quite realistic in that sense. So after that, I kind of chilled out a bit because I settled into fourth place and none of the other ladies seemed to be catching me up, and I was running quite comfortably. And I did the Carnedas, and I'd had a bit of a wobbly because I did start getting cramp, and in the same section as I did the year before, and I did fall over, which I said to myself I didn't want to fall over this time, but had my salt tablets, got into the first aid station where I see crew, and then went up the Carnedas, and I have to say it's probably the most beautiful day I've ever seen up there in my whole entire life. And Runners High hit me at that point, and I started moving well again. And I'd been so devastated thinking that that was going to be it again, and I'd have no energy like the year before, and that was going to be the rest of my race. But I started moving well up there. Just it was insane views. I was really enjoying it. So at that point, I got my music on, and I just really started enjoying the race. They had a diversion. It was a different way to get to Capel Curig via a water stop. And when I got into that water stop, there was a guy at the aid station who remembered me from the last aid station the year before. And he was like, "What the hell, Charlotte? Like, last year we were almost sweeping you. This year," he was like, "Robin Cassidy's only just been in here. She's like not that far ahead." And I just said, "Oh, don't tell me things like that because, I'm not, I genuinely wasn't there to chase someone like that. I was like, I'm just going to try and get to the end and see what happens." And I've really, at that point, knew I was running my own race and I was proud of how I was moving. Um, I then, at that point, I'd been running alone for a bit, but then kind of teamed up with a few men. Um, and then I made a big mistake coming into Capel because they'd moved the aid station from where it was in the previous year. I'd finished all my liquids ready to, luckily I had a hydro pack as well, but I finished all my liquids ready to get into the aid station where I thought it was and hop up, and it was just all shut. So I carried on and I said, "Where's the aid station?" He said, "Up this track." And I carried on up the track, and another guy was joined me, and I said, where's the aid station?" He said, "Well, they said it's up the track," but then we were on the Shabub climb trail, and we were just like, "Well, there's not going to be an aid station up here." But by that point, I didn't want to climb back down,
Mhm.
and I just said to him, "I'm just going to have to carry on up and just take a loss." And that was like my first proper low after I'd been on a high for a while, missing the aid station because that was a hot food aid station, and I really, really wanted to like I want to use the toilet and just have a bit of a reset there. But I just thought to myself, the next one was, I think it's Glendena, it's where you have a crew. So I just thought, if I just get this horrible descent done, get to there, I'll be okay. But that it was definitely quite a low. And I'd been running with a guy called Chris, and he'd got ahead of me, and then into Capacurg, and then he actually on the climb up caught me, and he said, "You missed the aid station, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then we stuck together for the descent, and it's quite a nasty descent. And it was actually the only part of the race which was cold and windy. Even the mountain safety were like hidden away under a rock up there. But we had a really nice kind of descent together, and he kind of picked me up from the low in that section because I think I was so in my head at that point about missing the aid station because it's quite a big in those races. It doesn't seem that far, but a 15 to 20k section is huge up there. So I was just, and I'd really mentally checked into it
You want
being
some-
soon, yeah, and wanting some coke and just yeah, the aid station. So yeah, that was a bit of a low. And then I think because I missed the aid station by after I left I couldn't I started feeling a bit sick trying to take on gels. I saw my crew at the next part. The guy Chris carried on. I went to catch him up, had another gel when my alarm went off, and then I just started projectile being sick. And this never happened to me before in a race. Like everything was coming up, and I was like, oh my God, this could be the end. And I just thought, right, stay positive. Felt a bit better after I'd been sick. When my alarm went off to take the next gel, I physically started chewing it and started heaving straight away. And I was like, I'm just not going to be able to eat this. I thought, I heard John Elbum say that that's happened to him in Transgran Canaria quite early on, and he just had a break from it for a while and then went back to it. So I was like, right, it's not the end because John managed to pull it back. Just try and keep going. I was sipping water and I got into the next aid station, and I think that's where, yeah, I saw Charlie, and I think I ate a bit of pot noodle, so a bit of solid food, and that actually stayed down. So I just thought I'm just gonna have a break from these gels and nutrition like that for a bit and just try some solid food. And then I went, yeah, into the night for the I think that's the biggest stretch. After I saw Charlie then, I didn't see him. I think then there's like a 7 to 8 hour gap before I see crew again. That's where I had my drop bag. And genuinely, I didn't take on a, I think that was, I think the previous was my last gel that I had for the whole race. I just couldn't after that. So nutrition wise, I failed massively. It just, I've never hit something like a wall so hard with food like that. In Transgran Canaria, I fueled from start to finish. Even the last 20 minutes, I was able to keep my gels down. But I think it was, I'd spoken to a lot of people with the exact same. I think it was just the heat exhaustion. And the ups and downs probably messed the stomach up quite a lot because you're quite aggressively changing.
walking around.
Yeah, I don't know, but
It's normally it's for me it's normally heat. So all every single time I've spewed up in a race, it's been heat.
yeah,
Um, with the exception of one time, which was the last race that I did, and that was because I rolled my ankle and I went into shock, and that made me sick.
yeah,
But normally it's normally the heat.
yeah.
Yeah, dehydrated, trying to take on gels.
I'd take it on because of the cramps as well. I'd taken on a lot of salt tabs, a lot. I was pounding the salt tabs, and I don't know if maybe they
Maybe that
also
could
had
be well.
unbalanced me.
Mm.
But
It's quick to
I
get
was,
right, isn't it?
yeah, I was really panicking at that point because everyone's saying if you're not eating, you're not moving, kind of thing. But turns out I seemed to be okay. I managed to get through then the next morning.
What did you eat then? What did you eat for the rest of the race?
Basically nothing, just
Um,
a little
how many
munch.
hours was that?
From so I got into an aid station just as the sunrise hit, so probably at 5 a.m. They made me. I had a tomato soup with a few slices of bread that stayed down. Then after that, I will say that would have been at 6 a.m. I had one pot noodle and Coke, and that's it until 11:17 p.m. Nothing
Oh,
else.
that's crazy.
Nothing. Yeah, just
Did water stay down or
yeah, water and Coke. In the end, my Charlie swapped my electrolyte out for Coke because he said even he would finish some of my bottles and just be like, "This is probably making you worse." But Coke was like heaven to me, so I was drinking as much Coke as I could. But the problem is I had this long section. So this is I was still in fourth at this point, whilst all this is going wrong, and I was running with a few men and they just seemed to be dropping me. So then I was alone, and there was this big section where I didn't have phone signal. It was from Guastana's farm to Begdegela. It's quite an easy section, really, and to be honest, it was beautiful. It was like the most stunning morning. This is one thing which kept coming into my head. It was like I'm in hell, but it looks like heaven. Like I was going through it, but I was looking around
Yeah.
and being like, oh,
Nice.
this is so nice. But I was like, but it's not. And then like a puppy collie would come out of the bushes and be like, lovely dog, and I'd be like, I'm enjoying this, but am I? Because I'm not. It's so hard, and I was constantly stressed that I was being caught up from the people behind because there is Mianway. I think that's how you say her name. She's a Scottish runner, and she made me second Brit in Trans Gran Canaria because I fell at the end and she overtook me. So I knew she was. If she's quite a good, well, she's equally as good a runner as I. She came ahead of me in Trans Gran Canaria, so I knew she equally could get me. And then there was Jodie Gold, who's quite close, and there was an American runner who's also really close. So I constantly knew my place wasn't. I was running with Phoenix, obviously, so I wanted to be as high up as I could for like my first race with them as well. But in that section, that was when it really hit me. I was started panicking about not eating any food because I know obviously that is a game over most of the time, and I didn't have any phone service, and it was really lonely. No one was catching me up. I wasn't catching anyone else up, and I was by myself in my head for quite a while at this point. And just as I'm contemplating maybe a DNF because I was saying to myself, why am I going through this again? You've done it already. What's it to prove if now you drop down to eighth place again? Because that's what it was the year before. You know, another eighth place finish. If you can't keep the food on, and they can. Because I was imagining everyone else eating their gels and running strong, and I was just feeling devastated. But just as I was getting into Begillet, I finally got phone signal, and I got a text from Charlie saying Robin's uh, pulled out, you're now in third. Then all of a sudden, it was like my energy came straight back to my body, and I just started running again. Um, I sent him a voice note. This is the only time I had one of the questions for him. It said, "Did you ever cry?" This was the only time I cried in the race, which annoyingly was when people caught up to me, a group of men. I just started crying and I said, "I can't believe it. Third place would have been a dream come true. That could mean UTMB if I can keep this position." And I just started crying. Charlie said his dad was crying as well. And then at that point, it was just back game on. And even though I'd felt sick at that next aid station, I ate a whole pot noodle. Did I eat anything else? Loads of Coke. I really tried my best to keep things in. And actually, then that next section, I did have a couple gels. I was testing the water. There was another guy who'd had the exact same situation as me, but they didn't make me feel great. So after I had them, I was like, I'll leave that for a bit. And then the Coke was working really well. So I was like, I'll just fill up an extra Coke, have that. Got down. Moorhebob is. I recce'd that 2 weeks ago, so I knew that section was going to be bad. That's where I almost got timed out the year before. It's relentless. There's so much climb, and then there's the Nantle Ridge, and then my feet were sore, so the descent just took me for ages. I actually ended up going down on my bum because I was like, this is going to be quicker at this point. But that's when I was at the aid station, obviously feeling rubbish, and that's when fourth place was closing the gap rapidly. She was speeding up. So at that point, the race actually started again for me. So I'd say there was a bit of a lull in the middle, and then I was racing again from my second climb up Snowdon. I don't think I even stopped any again after that. I was just rapid. My finish time went from being predicted 2:30 to 11:30, and then I finished 11:17. And all the men that had dropped me in the last section, I went by them. They were like, "What the hell's happened to you?" And I was like, "I'm being chased from my podium. I've got to go." And it just shows you've got it in you when
Yeah.
you're under pressure. I think I'd got too complacent with just drifting through and thinking, "Oh, maybe I'll quit." But then because I knew realistically I couldn't catch Robin, so I'd kind of put that to bed that those three were solid. And then when the opportunity arose, I was like, "Oh, this is it. I need to try again. I need to get as much fluid down me as I can, energy, and see if I can turn this around." And genuinely, the end of my race was so strong, really, really strong. I think I just had that drive back in me to basically. I was thinking, if you get the podium, you don't have to do it again. So I probably, if I came fourth, I thought probably I'd have be unsatisfied and have to do it again. And I was like, I can't do this race again. This is too much. This is enough now. There's only so much self-harm you can put yourself through.
Wow, that's amazing. Um, did you find out what happened to Robin? Did anyone say? Because I haven't
Just
seen.
unwell, I think. I think, you know what, it was so hot and everyone said to me, "Oh, but it will be cold at night." It wasn't even cold at night. It was really hot just the whole time. And I was doing this night section with this guy from South Wales and it was 3:40 a.m. and the sun was coming up and we started panicking. We're like, "Why is that coming now? That shouldn't be here yet because we were still too hot." We're like, "Why is that already coming back?" I was like panicking so much but I didn't actually get any cramps the second day. I think obviously my levels had like
Settled
with all
down.
the salt tabs that I'd had the day before. I think it was fine. Obviously wasn't pushing as much, but yeah, I don't no I don't I just know she just wasn't well. She has the spine wasn't that long ago at the end of the day, was it?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it stays in your system for probably 6 months or something.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. And even the best athletes, you only have to look at the men and who drops out. It's if you're pushing yourself on a course like that, in temperatures like that,
Mm.
it just happens. I mean, probably if I was sensible, I should have been like DNFing with the situation I was in with the sickness, not taking on food. But I'm quite stubborn,
Mm.
and I was in a position where
It's
I
amazing how
was
you can
spurred
keep
on.
going. How you can keep going in that situation because the first time it happened to me, I thought like you, this is my race over. I can't. How am I going to get to the finish if I'm being sick?
Yeah,
Um, and it happened to me on like a 50 miler, just local to me. And I just was just it was just the heat, overheating, spewing up. Just every time I took fluids on, I was sick again. But
it
then,
makes you dizzy as well, doesn't it? I was so
yeah,
dizzy.
but I managed to sort of pull it back in that race a little bit. But the worst one was when I did the very first Spine summer sprint, and I was sick. I felt sick. Got to about 10 miles in. I was starting to feel sick at 10 miles, and I thought, this is not going to end well if I'm feeling sick 10 miles
Already
into
in,
the.
yeah.
And I was like, have I got a sickness bug? What is it? Um, and then I eased off with gels. Um, and then I felt okay. Then it got to 30 miles in. So obviously it's like a 47-mile route. So I was like 30 something miles in, and that was it. Just started spewing up. Ran out of water. My vision was going, just spewed constantly. And I was sick from mile 30 right to the end. So
Mm,
literally like 15 odd miles of just throwing up and couldn't keep it. Even just like water that I'd got in my bottles, just sipping on water, and just the taste of water just made me sick again. There was
yeah.
nothing left, and I was so dehydrated at the end that um, we called in at a garage on the way back coming out of Hebden Bridge, and I was craving milk, like full fat blue milk, and
Not
I
very vegan.
no, um, and I literally drank 4 pints of full fat milk.
Oh,
Just drank it, just sat in the car and just drank it while.
how does that help me when you feel
Okay.
sick? That would make me
Well,
be
but by
sick.
this point, I wasn't feeling because
Oh,
as
okay.
soon as the race finished, you don't feel sick anymore, do you? If you've got to the end of a race feeling sick, it's literally 10 minutes after sitting down, all the blood comes back to your head, and and I felt absolutely fine, other than the fact that I was so thirsty and dehydrated. So literally, just like was sipping this out of this, just out of a plastic bottle, 4 pints of full fat milk, and I was right as rain.
Really? Well, you say that, but actually, I spent the whole of Sunday and Monday. Usually, after one of these, I'm really ravenous. I felt so sick and I just still couldn't eat.
Yeah.
It really got me. And oh, so we were working with a hotel and spa after,
I
and I had
saw
a
that.
massage booked for the Monday, and Charlie took some clips of me in the massage, and it looked so awful. You could see every spine, all my ribs. I'm so obviously malnourished and dehydrated from the race, and I was like, I can't use this. This is like so, looks like a corpse on a morgue table. It's honestly awful. I was like, is that really what you could see on my back every single
Really?
rib cage and everything? And
Yeah.
I had to apologise to the masseuse and say, I'm really sorry, I don't have an issue. I've just done a massive endurance race. And I think I'm really dehydrated and lost
Mm.
a lot of weight this race because oh my goodness. Genuinely it looks I look like a slab, like a dead slab on a table. Like awful. Terrible.
Not great for your socials.
No, yeah, we turned the lights on and tried to change the lighting a bit, to try and make it a bit better. But oh my goodness, they were some of the worst clips I've ever seen of myself, my back.
But did you manage to relax though at
I
the?
did. I really enjoyed the stay, yeah, and the massage was really good. It was. I'm glad it wasn't on the Sunday because I was still too sore. But by the Monday, I was moving around and felt quite good, and just the light massage actually really helped. My main concern was my traps. They were in
Oh,
agony. The
from
pack is so heavy, and then also I think from the poles, from the driving. But oh, my traps. So usually, obviously, your legs are quite destroyed, but you use your arms to like lift yourself up off the
yeah.
toilet out the bath. I couldn't do that either, so I was just stuck in. I must have looked crazy at the restaurant in the evenings. Charlie was actually putting a towel around me underneath my arms and lifting the towel
I'll
up
let
to
you
like
know.
pull
Yeah.
me up because I couldn't use my arms at all. It was so sore, but the massage really like loosened up my shoulders, thank God.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than a sports massage after you've done a race. Oh, that
Yeah, I've got my actual sports one booked in for next week because I like to leave it at least a week for a
yeah,
proper good going after one. Yeah.
flipping it. Yeah, it's so painful, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember going for I did an Ironman distance triathlon back in the day, and my for my job at that point I was I was flying around the world, and I'd booked this job in Thailand for literally like it was like a couple of days after the race. I flew to Thailand, and obviously, like I was still like really sore from the race and everything, and I went and weirdly, my wife's cousin lives. He's married a Thai girl, and he lives out there. And so I went to visit him, and his wife was like, "Oh, do you want to go for a Thai massage?" And I was like, "I've heard about Thai massages.
Oh, they're very tough ones, yeah.
Not sure whether Kate will want me to go for a Thai." And she's like, "No, not one of those
Oh,
an actual proper Thai massage." So I went for one, and it was the most painful thing I've ever had in my life. It was horrible. I appreciate what they do, and
you
all
can ask for different
disgusting.
variations. Like I go to my sports massage, which is like it's called RMA Injury Clinic, and that's like a special sports centre here for athletes and then just injuries. But then I also go to there's a place called Little Buddha, which is a Thai massage, and that's more my treat massage. That's like my full body, and
Yeah.
she's really really good. But the sports one is definitely not a relaxing experience. That's just
No.
more of
Well,
a
they
functional.
just laughed at me. So like, because I was wincing and squealing in pain, and they were just laughing.
Oh.
Anyway, so what's the plan now then for this year? So obviously goals are kind of changing because of that result, future goals. But how's it sort of affecting your short term in this year?
So I've got quite a stacked year actually. I've got Lakeland 100 in July,
That'll be good.
and then UTMB Mallorca in November, providing that goes ahead, and then Arc in January, and then I think I'm going to do Tenerife Blue Trail in March because I went out to support some friends doing it in March because I used it as a training weekend to get some elevation in for UTS. And I loved the vibe of that race. And oh man, it's an amazing course. You go up from sea level up to the volcano
Yeah.
and back down, and I fell in love with it. So I think I want to tackle that one. It's only 110k, but it's got I think 7,000 meters, so it's kind of like Trans Gran Canaria level. So I feel like that could be a good. Tom Evans, I think he's just done it, and then he'll be doing UTMB. So that could be a good kind of.
Yeah.
I do that one, and then leave it until UTMB. But then there's quite a lot of 100 miles in between. So there is like the Lakeland 100, Mallorca, Arc, then that one, and then I'd have a gap, then UTMB. I think that's going to be how I play next year. Yeah, I didn't think UTMB would be on the cards next year, but I do
Mm.
kind of feel like I need to seize the opportunity now.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm.
And
Mm.
yeah,
Not that there wouldn't be another opportunity to get in, but you got to take your chances. This like this the conversation I had with Fee Pascal when she she got a golden ticket to
Yeah, that was amazing. I watched the live stream of
um,
that. I was glued to it. That was incredible.
and she was like she was saying that at first she was like I don't need the golden ticket.
Oh, the Western states that you have, that's a golden
You've got
ticket
it.
where
You've got
that one is like unnegotiable. You take that one because
You've
it's,
got it.
you're not getting in on the lottery on that one very easily ever. So yeah,
I quite
she's just, I
accepted it.
just followed her on, I follow her on Instagram. She's just got out into the States now, hasn't she? Just like
Yes, yeah,
training for
literally,
it.
yeah, this week.
That's going to be so exciting. She
I
could,
can't wait.
her sister, I'm guessing, is run it.
Sister won it, yeah.
Oh, she won it.
Yeah, Beth won it.
Oh, wow. So she's
20,
got,
20, 20, is it 2022 she won it, I think. Or
see,
20.
this is all before I started running, so I'm very good at knowing anything that's happened recently, but the history I'm still like learning
There's a
upon.
lot of history. It's a lot.
Yeah, so the modern races, like I did follow Chantry, 'cause I really wanted Abby Holt to get a ticket, and then she ended up getting one anyway because
Yeah, yeah,
somebody dropped
yeah.
down
Yeah, as
from I
well.
think the other race she did, which yeah. But that's golden ticket chasing seems so stressful.
Well, she was saying so she was saying like she ummed and ahed about it, and I was like, as somebody who loves the sport and loves that race, Western States, I personally would think that you would be like silly to not take it.
Yeah,
And in the end, she said she kind of reasoned on it and spoke to her sister, and she figured the same thing that she could very well qualify for it again or get in, but there is a chance that she would never get the opportunity again. So you've got
yeah.
to kind of jump at things when they come your way, haven't you?
Oh, 100%. And that race, they only have, is it 200 starters every year? It's really
200,
small.
like 200 and
Yeah,
there's a fixed number. Yeah.
statistics to that. I put in for my little token or whatever race I've got from the year into it, and I would do that just on a regular entry because that's just one of those races. I did a Q&A recently, and someone said, what would be your dream if you could have a race?" And I said that one just because it's so hard to get otherwise.
Mm,
So yeah, good on her. I'm glad she is
yeah.
doing it.
I'm glad she's
It's
doing
you. That's an opportunity you can't really turn down,
Yeah,
isn't it?
big,
But with
definitely.
UTMB, I hadn't even bothered putting in for the lottery because I was really set on only wanting to do it with athlete entry when I was ready. But then obviously it's come around a bit faster than I anticipated, and yeah, it's just yeah, you don't have to do everything perfectly because I've just proven that I've ultra trail Snowdonia. The first year didn't go to plan at all,
Mm.
and it didn't really change much doing it again. If anything, you get a good boost from beating your previous self because at the end of the day, that's who you're most in competition with. So yeah, yeah,
Amazing. Um, Speaking of Q&A, did you have some questions that
yeah. Let's
send
see.
them on my list that you can send them to me rather than you just asking yourself
Oh
the same.
yeah, let me. Yeah, there's
So for the listener and viewer, with Charlotte put out a what would you call it on the
a
yeah,
Q&A.
Q&A like request thing on Instagram. So people have sent in some questions to fire at her.
I've
So
got a friend who's written just some obscene ones, so I'll have to censor some of those.
I'll edit them live if you
Uh,
send them through.
okay.
We probably should have done this before we started recording, but
Oh, I forgot about these actually, to
I
be
don't know.
honest.
I don't edit the podcast very rarely, so well, it's fine.
I'll just send these for you over because we can't be here all day, but um,
Yeah, just send a few over. Don't need to send
yeah,
them all.
let's see.
I think the last time we had one of these intermissions in the podcast, it was for the cats. I think the
Oh
cats were
yeah.
walking in front of the camera, and they
Right, have you got them
yeah,
through?
yeah, I've got them right. Okay, when they come up, one's blurry. Hang on. Okay, we'll start with these then. What was better, the finishers medal or the ice pop off Gary House?
So I didn't get an ice pop. I was
You didn't get
dreaming of
one.
one. I didn't get one. I didn't see where he was. So
Mm.
I saw he was crewing a guy that I was running with, and I did
Mm.
say to the guy, I said, is that the podcast guy? And he was like, yeah, because again, it was so far into the race. You know, when you kind of hallucinate, and
Bit
people just look
delirious.
like people that your
Yeah.
brain like links over. Yeah, but I didn't. Although saying that, my friend Darren, he did bring me a round trees lolly on the last crew aid station, so I did get a nice lolly of someone.
Big game. Yeah. But just
Yeah,
not Gary House.
not Gary House, so I guess I'll have to do it again.
He's
Maybe I will
he's
be going back.
he's famous for that now, isn't he? For having
Yeah.
those ice pop.
Do you know what? I was on the hot parts of the day. I was thinking, I hope that guy is there from the viral video with the ice lollies. But yeah, he didn't appear for me, unfortunately. And then he did appear for me in the aid station, crewing the guy
Someone
that I've been
else.
running with. And then I was thinking, did I probably just imagine that
Yeah,
guy?
imagine.
Is that
Yeah.
the ice pool guy? Where are the ice pools? But yeah,
Yeah, you didn't manifest him on the trail.
no, unfortunately
Oh,
not.
you did. Um, okay, I'll edit this one. How many times did you poop in a bush?
I actually didn't this time. So I was sick. This was
Yeah,
the issue in this race. I think you
remember
get
race.
either or, and usually, unfortunately, it's the other way. This time it was sickness. So I don't know what I prefer, to be honest. Both are quite degrading. But I was
Yeah.
quite glad that during the worst sickness I was by myself. So I just kind of puked and rallied and got myself together.
Yeah, you kind of it's a bit it's like a little bit embarrassing, isn't it, when you're sick?
Yeah, because you feel like
You
you've done
know what I
something
mean?
wrong.
Yeah, you like a bit like, oh.
Yeah, so embarrassing. It was so much as well. I was like, I'd carry on running and start being sick again. I was like, really?
Amazing. Um, here's a little snappy one then. Are you happy?
Yeah, beyond happy. Like wildest dreams happy.
Yeah, you've got to be, haven't you? And then the it's the same person, fake Pinoy 89.
So
Did
that
oh,
means fake Filipino. It's my friend Wesley. He loves
is
going to the
it?
Philippines.
Right.
He's learned Filipino.
Fake Pinot, right.
Yeah, Pinoy. Yeah.
Not Pinoy, Pinoy. Is that what
Yeah.
it means? Pinoy.
Pinoy is Filipino, I think. So
Right.
fake Filipino, basically.
Fake Filipino. So did you cry? I think we've answered that, haven't we?
Yes, yes. Did one cry when I realised, oh my God, I might get UTMB. And I thought I was going to cry at the finish line. And I got there and I was just a bit like, I'm done. That's it. I was completely void of, I've used up all my emotion already. So yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because when you see people finishing big races, you often think of that, don't you? You often think of people like breaking down, crying.
I cry. I'm not a crier, but I cry when I watch people's finish lines on YouTube. I even watched the Emma Stewart doing the Winter Downs and the 200 miler. I cried watching her do that. And then recently I watched one of the, I think it was either it's one of the I think it's the Moab documentary. There's a kind of a surfer guy with tattoos. Can't think what
Yeah,
his name is.
yeah. King of Moab. It's called.
Yeah, yeah, and I cried my eyes out when because he won it, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I cried my eyes out at that, and it's just because you know how much goes into that. But when it's myself, I'm
yeah.
just void. I was just I didn't. I
Well, I
didn't
I um I got to the end of the winter spine race. My family was there, and I'd gone through a tough time to get to the finish with
yeah,
falling over and everything, knocking myself out. And I did not had zero emotion. It's fine. I was just
it's
like,
crazy, isn't
job
it?
job done. Right. That's I'm ready to go to bed now.
Yeah.
But then like contrast that with last weekend, I was up in the Lake District at the lab doing media and stuff there and doing a podcast. And like literally like the middle of the so you got like the middle and the back of the pack sort of coming through, and I was at the finish line watching them coming through, and I'm like tearing up watching just random people coming through,
It's
thinking I'm
crazy,
like,
isn't it?
how can I be so invested in
It's because
somebody?
we're empaths. We're empaths. We don't care about ourselves, just
Is that
about
what is
others.
that what it is? Is
I
that what
think
it?
so.
Well, yeah, I think my wife is an empath, 100%. But I just think I don't know. Maybe I just hold my emotions in so much that they come out randomly at weird places.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so Marcus runs ultras has asked, what did you change in training from last year's UTS to this year's? Asking for a friend, laughing face.
So I know where this is because this guy did it twice. He did it the year before me, and then he did it last year. And he was going for a PB, and I think he finished 47 or something, around the 46, 47, and then I think he only knocked an hour or so off. And
Right.
obviously he's seen now that I've knocked off 13 hours,
13
so
hours.
he's like, huh? Um, I would just say, obviously, for me, I've been running over 2 years now rather than one. 1 year experience was not really enough to be doing that race. And equally, 1.5 months mountain experience, I've now got over a year and 1 month mountain experience. So for me, it was a lot to do with that. I went into it physically fit as well. But I would just say massively my elevation. That's what I focused on, elevation. I think I'd already done 50,000 meters of elevation this year.
Wow.
It wasn't about speed work for me. It was just every run. No, I didn't do any flat runs. Every run I was hitting elevation, and every long run I wanted as much elevation as I could on the Isle of Wight. You can't get thousands here, but I could get six,
Definitely
seven
long term.
hundred meters per 20k ish, which is like a very hilly run here. And I just made sure every run was like that, no exception. I went for hills every single time, which I really enjoy now. I don't like flat running, so yeah, I did slightly more mileage this time around, but just because my body can handle that more now. I've got another year of training behind me. Um, but I wouldn't say there was anything drastically different. I would just say it was mainly just the progression, and then bad luck of not going into last year particularly well, and maybe just the mindset of being determined to hit this what I thought might have been a far-fetched pacing plan. But going there 2 weeks before for my peak week and kind of trying out the pace gave me a bit of confidence because I did feel like, okay, I can run like this. Let's see, you know. I had an A plan and a B plan, and I'm just so thrilled. Really, my ultimate plan was to be done for bed that night. I didn't want to see any of the night on the Saturday this time.
And you
Yeah,
did that.
yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. Um, and the last one isn't really a question, is it? It's more of a statement. Mindset.
I think she left quite a few. I think she was just writing them quite quickly. I guess she means what mindset did I have?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Um, I actually went into it excited, which is weird because usually I'm a bag of nerves. I was quite nervous. I felt I got put into the elite 10 at the beginning and called out with like Robin and everyone, and I just again I feel so silly and like I didn't belong. And on the start line, I just felt a bit embarrassed. Um, but once I got going, just started loving, to be honest, loving it. I had a really negative bit, like I said, when I got cramps and thought, oh my God, it's happening again. Then once I got into Carnedas, I was loving it till I got sick, massive low again. And then I obviously then spent that, the sickness there, I had low energy after the sickness. Then there was the, once number four was chasing me, that's when things switched up again. And my mindset then just went to like beast mode. That was it. I was just like, there's no way. I was no offense to the girl that was chasing me, but I was just like, I've run so hard for so long now. I'm not losing this at this point. And at that point, though, the mindset was there, but the brain was losing the plot. There was this really nice guy actually. He's followed me on Strava since, and he came tearing up. This was is it the Watkins Pass we go up the second time? It's one of maybe it's the redo path actually we go up the second time we go up Snowdon. He came really fast, which made me feel really negative because I thought, oh my God, how's someone moving this fast this far into the race? Because I knew that part of the track was still only 100 mile. But he was like, no, 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 I'm crewing someone who's not due in for 4 hours yet, so I'm just doing a little run myself.
Yeah.
And he was really nice, and actually he was almost a bit like a pacer at the time because I could see him ahead, and it made me move
Mm.
faster. But at that point, I knew that the fourth place had closed a massive gap on me, like 20 minutes. And she'd gone through the aid station looking really strong. And I was just like, oh no. And this guy had been really nice. And at the top, he made this video of me running. And he was like, I'll send you it. And it was all positive until I got to the summit. My brain started saying, the person he's crewing is number four female and he's spying on you and he's taking that video to send to her, and none of that's true, but you know how the brain just
Yeah,
starts
yeah,
tricking you.
yeah, yeah.
And I was thinking that guy's sending her that video to show that you're weak and that you are burning out up here.
Yeah,
and
well,
you need to move faster. My brain started like this horrible battle, and then I'm next to it, I'm running down the descent, and this is where it's during the 100Kers, and I'm flying past 100Kers, and they're like, "What on earth is she doing?" But and then that was it. I had just this fire lit, and I, yeah, I just wasn't letting anyone catch me, and then that's when I made up, I think, 2 hours off of my time dropped down what it was going to be 2 hours, and I bumped into all the men that I'd shared some moments with, and they'd left me, and they were just like, "What?
you come back to me
Literally,
now.
where's this energy come from?" But
Yeah.
in a way, it was good because it meant that I did finish to my potential time that I wanted. Gave me a kick up the bum, basically, and it just meant that I wasn't just moping to the end and being out all night because obviously had it in me to finish like that. It's just you've got to get your brain into gear, haven't you? So my mindset, I had a lot of ups and downs, a lot. Mostly downs. No, no, it's hard to be down, isn't it, in such a beautiful place? But I just feel like had I been able to fuel that race properly, I would have had a much better experience. It's just such a stress when because I follow the sport, I know how bad it is, and it's game over when you can't eat, and it was just stressing me out so much. So my mindset, it was a bit all over
Still
the
got it
place.
done. You still got it
Yeah,
done, though.
yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, I'm so pleased for you. I've been watching your career obviously from the start, from the very start. And I knew that, you were going to be something special in the sport, and, you finally getting the recognition that I think you deserve, and
Thank you.
you're moving up there, and I think that there's some great things in the future coming up, especially like this year and next year. And I can't wait to see you at UTMB, and yeah, and I think you're going to go and smash Lakeland as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I've never been to Lake District. Can you imagine? So we've just got a camper van, like an old Volkswagen, and it's Charlie's birthday next month. So we're gonna drive that up there, and I can do some running. We can do like a nice hotel stay as well as the camping. But I'm going to recce some of the course. But everyone's just been telling me that it's just a walk in the park compared to
Compared to
UTS,
yeah.
and I'm looking forward to exploring a new area now. I've been to Wales over the last year quite
Mm.
a few times now. I love it, don't get me wrong, but the Lake District's just that little bit further. I would have done more training in the Lake District, but it's
It's a
just
long
it
way for
takes
you, isn't it? It's a
yeah, it
long
takes
way.
me a couple
Yeah.
more hours of driving. Snowdonia is far enough. I think it's the ferry and then a 5 hour drive,
Mm.
so it adds on just that little bit more.
Yeah. So,
Do you know is it Howard Drowcope?
yeah, Howard Drake yeah.
Drove Cope. So, weirdly, we got talking last year because just before UTS, I bought some waterproof socks off him off of Vinted, and
Oh,
then he was
really?
like, it was just a random conversation. Then we followed each other on Instagram because he was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're doing UTS," and then we've been on like a similar journey this year because we were both meant to do Mallorca, then it got cancelled. He did a shorter one at Trans Gran Canaria. I did the big one, but I hadn't met him. And
Mm.
we planned to meet in this race, but I didn't see him at the start line. But then we met a really integral part of my race, and he actually said, I said they've gone too fast for me, and he just said, "Run your own race, Charlotte," and I kept that really in my head the whole time. And he absolutely smashed his race as well. We were both ranked a lot lower than where we came. He came, I think he did. He get on. He got a few
Yeah.
hours ahead of me anyway, and it's a really great success for him as well, I think. But yeah, he's from the Lake District, and this is what I was getting at. I see his all of his training, and I've been so jealous. His training just looks immense. It's like Josh's. Josh doesn't do as many pictures as Howard, so I see more pictures from him. Josh does his videos and stuff, but on Instagram. But yeah, I see Howard's Strava, and I'm like, if I didn't have a business here, I'd be so like convinced to relocate because it's cheaper up north as well, and
Yeah.
I'd just love to
Oh,
be able to do
you'll love it.
that.
You'll love it. You'll love it up there.
Yeah, so I'm so excited after seeing like all the Stravas for so long, like to get my teeth into it. But a lot of people say that the route isn't that great because you don't summit a lot.
Mm. Yeah, I
But
don't. I've not done it, so I don't know. Yeah.
yeah, well, it's just I wasn't planning on doing it, but I got it's a ballot, isn't it? And I was like, oh, do you know what? I should probably do it then. I just thought I'll put it in, and fate will decide. And then I got it, and I was like, oh, fate has decided. Time to do the Lakeland.
I think you'll do well. Just go and enjoy it, and no pressure, but I'm sure you're gonna do well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that. is a race that I would really enjoy. So yeah,
Why not? Go for it.
exactly.
Oh, brilliant. Well, appreciate you coming on and keeping us up to date with everything that's going on with you. And I'm
Yeah,
sure
but I think I'm probably less chaotic than usual where I've got a bit of brain fog. I'm not over talking over you so much or going on
you're
tangents
fine.
because my
You're
brain's
fine.
still buffering.
You're fine. I live with multiple neurodivergent women in this house, so
You're used to
I'm
it.
used to it. I'm used to it. Yeah, and I'm constantly being told that I'm the same as well. So yeah, you're in good company. So appreciate you giving us your time, and
No, thanks for having me
we'll
on.
catch
Everyone's
up.
been asking, is there a podcast coming? I was like,
Yeah,
yes, just you
definitely,
wait.
definitely. Yeah, and yeah, we'll catch up for number 4 at some point this year as well. Podcast number
And then
4.
hopefully five. It's
Thanks, Charlotte.
easier than doing a race report, just doing a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. You just talk about the race.
Yeah,
Get some
just,
lessons.
yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, Charlotte. Appreciate you coming on.
Thanks so much for having me.
Cheers, mate. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Bye 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 bye
Bye.
everyone.